So, um, back in July 2024, Keir Starmer won one of the biggest, just most crushing political victories in British history.
Yeah, a truly massive win.
Right. But now, less than a year later, his own deputy prime minister is quietly asking him to pack his bags.
Which is just wild to think about.
It really is. So welcome to our deep dive, everyone. Today we have a very clear mission.
Yes, we do.
We are looking at a stack of recent news reports, and these reports detail the sudden, sharp drop in support for the UK's Labour Party and the intense pressure now sitting squarely on the shoulders of their leader.
Right. It's a remarkable shift. We are talking about a prime minister who went from a historic landslide victory to fighting for his political life.
In just a matter of months.
Exactly. Just a few months.
And our goal today is to break down this complicated political situation step by step. We're going strictly by the sources.
And we're going to keep the language very simple and the pace steady.
Yeah, we want you, the listener, to easily understand the exact mechanics of what is happening inside the UK government right now. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Well, to really grasp the severity of the trouble today, we first have to look at the sheer scale of the success Prime Minister Starmer had, just a short time ago.
Right, back in July 2024.
Exactly. The contrast is what makes the story so striking. Starmer and the Labour Party didn't just win a general election.
No, they completely swept the board. Our source actually calls it a landslide victory.
The landslide, yeah. It means it wasn't even close. It was a clear, undeniable mandate from the British public. They had the numbers, the momentum, and the power.
But in politics, momentum is incredibly fragile, right?
Oh, absolutely. According to the reports just last week, the Labour Party faced a very harsh reality check.
Yeah, the sources say they lost very badly in a series of smaller local elections.
Right. We're talking about council seats across England, as well as assembly elections in Scotland and Wales.
Which, brings up a really interesting point about how political power actually works.
How so?
Well, think about it like a sports team.
Okay.
It is like a sports team winning the world championship, a massive victory, but then losing a bunch of small practice games right after.
No, right.
Suddenly, everyone starts doubting the coach, the fans are nervous, the players are nervous.
That is a perfect way to look at it. Because logically, local government jobs, the councils and assemblies, they don't dictate national policy.
Right, they just handle local issues.
Yeah.
Trash collection, local roads, things like that.
Exactly. But politically, they are the canary in the coal mine.
So why do those local losses trigger such an immediate panic at the very top?
Well, it's because national politicians are constantly calculating their own survival.
Right.
When a ruling party loses local elections, the national lawmakers look at those results and they see their own voters slipping away. Fear takes over.
Because they're worried about their own jobs.
Precisely. They start thinking, if the voters in my district are angry enough to vote out the local Labour councillor today, are they going to vote me out of my seat at the next national election?
And fear makes people look for someone to blame.
Always. Fear makes people point fingers directly at the leader. So those small regional losses create this psychological snowball effect.
Right. It turns into a panic about their own future careers, which leads us right into the core problem outlined in our sources.
Yeah, the rebellion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because of this localized panic, the coach, the prime minister, is now facing a full-blown rebellion from his own team.
And this is where the situation becomes incredibly dangerous for Starmer.
Because it's not the opposition party attacking him.
No, this is an attack coming from inside the House. The source reports that over 70 lawmakers in Starmer's own party are actively pushing back.
And just to clarify, lawmakers in the UK are called MPs, right? Members of Parliament.
Yes, exactly. MPs. And over 70 of his own MPs want him to step down.
Over 70 members of your own team turning against you is, well, it's a massive fracture. And these aren't just quiet people in the background, are they?
Not at all. The source specifically names some of the most prominent figures in the entire UK government.
Like who?
Well, we are talking about Defense Secretary John Healey.
Wow.
Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy, Yvette Cooper. These are the top executives of his team.
And the report says they asked Starmer for an orderly exit.
An orderly exit, yeah.
That is just such a polite, bureaucratic way of saying, we have lost faith in you. Please pack up your office before we have to make this ugly.
It really is. It's the political equivalent of a velvet glove hiding an iron fist. They're asking him to jump so they do not have to push him.
Right.
But what's fascinating here is, well, the strict rule book they actually have to follow if he refuses to jump.
Because I mean, you can't just tweet that the prime minister is fired. There are rules.
Exactly. You cannot just demand a leader leaves. The Labour Party has highly specific formal mechanics for removing a sitting leader.
So what is the rule?
To force a prime minister out from within the party, 20% of the party's MPs must write a formal, confidential letter expressing no confidence.
Okay, so it is just a numbers game. It's simple math.
Exactly.
How many letters do the rebels actually need to hit that 20% mark?
Based on the current makeup of Parliament, that magic number is 81.
81 MPs.
Yes. They need exactly 81 MPs to submit those letters to officially trigger a leadership contest.
But wait, remember the key detail from our source. Right now, the rebels only have over 70 MPs pushing for his exit.
Right. They are short.
Okay, let me push back on this, though. They don't have the 81 letters. They only have 70-something. So officially, on paper, he is safe.
Technically, yes.
But realistically, if over 70 people on your own team want you gone, I mean, including your own deputy prime minister, isn't your power already broken?
It's a fair question.
How can you sit at the head of a table and lead a country when the person sitting right next to you just asked for an orderly exit?
Yeah, you are hitting on the exact paradox of political power. You can have the official power on paper, but completely lose the real power in the room.
Right.
When a prime minister loses the belief of their senior team, the government effectively becomes paralyzed.
Every meeting must be so tense.
Oh, incredibly tense. Every policy announcement is second-guessed. The whole machinery of government slows to a crawl because, well, nobody knows if the person giving the orders will even be there next month.
It's like a Walking Dead scenario.
Exactly. You are technically alive, but you cannot actually move forward.
So knowing all of this, how is Starmer fighting back? Because he isn't just quietly packing his bags, right?
Not at all. He is digging his heels in. The source details a very tense Tuesday cabinet meeting held at number 10 Downing Street, which is the Prime Minister's office.
Right.
Starmer looked his senior team in the eye and flatly refused to quit.
Our source gives us his exact defense. He told his cabinet, "The country expects us to get on with governing. That is what I must do." It is a really fascinating strategy. He is entirely bypassing their internal party drama and pointing out the window to the actual citizens.
Exactly. He is saying, we have a job to do. Stop indulging in these palace games.
So what else is he using to defend himself?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Starmer is deploying a very specific, very sharp psychological weapon against his own party.
Okay, what's it a weapon?
He is weaponizing the fear of chaos. To do this, he reminded them of the previous ruling party, the Conservatives, also known as the Tories.
Right, the Tories were in power for 14 years before Labour finally crushed them in that July 2024 election.
Yes. And during the end of that 14-year run, the Tories became famous for their internal instability. The source notes they had 5 different prime ministers over that period.
5 prime ministers.
It was a revolving door at number 10 Downing Street.
The public must have been getting whiplash.
Precisely. And the British public deeply punished the Tories for it at the ballot box. Voters hate divided parties.
Yeah, they hate paying their taxes to a government that spends all its time fighting itself instead of, solving the country's problems.
Exactly. And Starmer knows this. He is looking at his rebels and saying, do you really want to look exactly like the messy, chaotic party we just defeated?
Because if we start changing leaders now, the voters will never forgive us.
Right.
He's using the memory of the messy past to scare his own party into staying united.
He's arguing that to deliver the big changes they promised in 2024, they simply need more time. You can't rebuild an economy in a few months while simultaneously running a leadership campaign.
And that argument is actually working with some key people.
Yeah.
It is not just Starmer alone on an island.
Right. The source highlights Housing Secretary Steve Reed.
Yes, he came out swinging in defense of the Prime Minister.
He did.
Reed posted on the social media platform X, stating very simply, "This is not a game." He said that political instability at the top directly hurts the lives of normal working people.
It is a very potent defense. Reed and Starmer are framing the rebels not as leaders, but as reckless players who are gambling with the country's stability.
They are trying to make the act of rebelling look incredibly selfish.
Which brings us to the most crucial flaw in this entire rebellion.
Right. Starmer warns that changing leaders causes chaos. And frankly, looking at the source material, he might be entirely correct.
Why is that?
Because the people trying to remove him are completely scattered. They cannot agree on anything.
Yes, this is the critical weakness of the plot against him. The source points out that Starmer's opponents have not managed to unite behind a single clear replacement.
If you are going to launch a corporate coup and fire the CEO, you usually have the new CEO waiting in the hallway. You present a united front.
Exactly. But they do not have that. They have a massive vacuum, and politics hates a vacuum.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because there is no official candidate, the media and the politicians are literally looking at gambling markets to figure out who might take over.
Like betting odds.
Yes. The source notes that people in the government are walking around taking pictures of the betting odds.
It perfectly illustrates the sheer uncertainty of the moment. Instead of a coordinated political strategy, the future of the UK government looks like a roulette wheel.
Let's read through the names on this list slowly just to show how fractured this rebellion really is.
Okay.
According to the betting odds in the source, the current favorite is Andy Burnham.
Right. The mayor of Greater Manchester.
Yeah, he is at 9-4 odds, but right behind him is Health Secretary Wes Streeting at 3-1 odds.
Okay.
Then you have former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner at 7-2 odds.
Three very different politicians with very different bases of support.
And the list does not stop there.
It keeps going.
Yeah. Ed Miliband is listed at 7-1 odds. Shabana Mahmood is at 12-1 odds.
Oh.
And finally, Yvette Cooper, one of the people who reportedly asked Starmer to leave, is sitting at 18-1 odds.
Oh, wow.
That is 6 different names. 6 entirely different visions for the future of the party.
And that, right there, is Keir Starmer's ultimate shield. A divided rebellion is essentially powerless.
Break that down for us. Why does having 6 candidates make the rebellion weaker instead of stronger? Don't more choices mean more power?
Not in this case, because it creates a political deadlock. Think about the different groups within any massive political party.
Right.
You have the more progressive left wing, you have the centrists, you have the regional leaders. The people who want Andy Burnham to take over might fiercely oppose Wes Streeting.
Ah, I see.
The supporters of Angela Rayner might flat out refuse to back Yvette Cooper.
So they might all agree that they want Starmer out, but they hate each other's chosen replacements even more.
Exactly. It becomes a circular firing squad. The rebels cannot coordinate to hit the magic number of 81 letters.
Because they know that if they trigger a leadership contest today, their favorite candidate might lose to an internal rival.
Right. That fear of accidentally handing the crown to an internal rival paralyzes them.
So Starmer isn't necessarily surviving because he is projecting overwhelming strength. He's surviving because his enemies are too disorganized to strike.
It is survival by default. He is standing on a cracked floor, but his opponents cannot agree on which hammer to use, so the floor holds. For now.
So what does this all mean? If you are listening right now, why does this specific drama in the UK government matter to you?
That's a great question.
Beyond the political theater, this is a clear lesson in leadership and how quickly success can fade.
Very quickly.
Starmer achieved a monumental, historic victory. Yet, less than 2 years later, that goodwill has just evaporated, and he is fighting a daily battle just to keep his job.
It highlights a brutal reality about managing people. Whether you are running a massive company, a small nonprofit, or a national government, managing your own team during tough times is often harder than beating the competition.
Beating the Tory party at the election was the easy part.
Apparently so.
The truly difficult part is surviving the internal panic of his own lawmakers when the polls start to drop.
So, let us wrap up the core takeaways from the sources. Prime Minister Starmer is holding on to his job by relying on the official rules.
Right, the 81 letters.
Exactly. He knows his opponents have not yet reached that magic number. Furthermore, he is pointing out that his enemies are too divided to stop him.
He is basically buying time. He is daring his party to pull the trigger, hoping to prove his long-term plan will work if they just give him a minute.
Which leaves us looking at the broader system. This raises an important question, something for you to really think about.
Yeah.
We look back at that massive 2024 election win. It was as huge a win as a leader can get. But if that kind of historic victory only buys a leader less than 2 years of loyalty from their own team, well, is it ever possible for any modern leader to have enough time to actually fix big problems?
Wow.
If the system forces leaders to constantly look over their shoulder at their own deputies, who is actually looking ahead at the future of the country?
That is a very heavy thought to sit with. If you spend all your energy surviving your own team, you have no energy left to lead them anywhere meaningful. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take that question with you, and we will see you next time.